We continue to work hard every day to improve our system and to help keep our customers and the communities that we have the privilege to serve safe. We are committed to making sure that nothing like this ever happens again. We want to take a moment now to pause in silence. Thank you. All right, let's turn now to our Public Safety Power Shutoff public briefing. In just a little bit, you're going to hear from our incident commander. That's Mark Quinlan. He's going to talk to us about operations today and how the restoration process is going and getting the power back on as soon as possible. We'll also hear from Vanessa Bryan. She will talk to us about customer support. She's with our local customer experience group. Now, here's an overview of where we stand currently. As of this morning, the dry, windy conditions have subsided, and that gave us an opportunity to get out and start inspecting our lines and to restoring power in the 22 counties and the 7 tribal areas where we turned off power for safety. Now, we do estimate about 85% of the customers who lost power during this event have had power restored at this hour. We also still have 44 community resource centers that are open for customers to use. You can charge your cell phones and medical equipment, and there are other services available as well. Now, we want you to understand that we understand that this is a very difficult time for everyone. Public safety power shutoffs are an important tool for safety, but we know that this is very disruptive. It's especially disruptive right now when we consider heat, smoke, wildfires, and COVID. So we do these public safety power shutoffs as a last resort to really keep our customers safe, and we are working very hard at this moment to try to get everybody's power restored. Finally, I'll note that we've got a couple of reporters on the line with us today, and after we give our operational update, we're going to turn to them for a few questions. I'll remind reporters who are on the line, you do need to press *1 in order to get into the queue to ask a question. And so with that, I'm pleased to hand it over to Mark Quinlan. He's our incident commander for an update. Mark.
Thank you, Lindsay. Good evening, everyone. I'm Mark Quinlan, and I'm the incident commander for this event. As Lindsay mentioned, we understand how difficult this time is for our customers. This is challenging, and we fully understand that. A lot of things going on right now, COVID-19 pandemic, the extreme heat that we experienced over the last couple of weeks, the wildfires that were mentioned, the smoke, the air quality that we have in the state right now. And we understand that losing power is a hardship. We understand it's tough. That's why we take such incredible forethought into making the decision to do that as a last resort option. It's a decision that we take very, very seriously. We look at a lot of data before we execute that. We do that in the name of public safety to prevent catastrophic wildfire risk. And we can see all of the fires that are going on in the state right now. And it's a reminder why we do that. It's all about public safety for us. I want to talk a little bit about our restoration plan. So the weather has improved with respect to the wind conditions. The red flag warnings that were previously issued by the National Weather Service have been lifted, and they're scheduled to be completely lifted by this evening, as was the wind advisories by the National Weather Service. That allowed us to monitor the weather conditions early this morning, utilizing our weather stations that we have out installed across our service territory, and check those wind speeds and look for opportunities to begin the patrol and the restoration process when it was safe to do so. We refer to that as the weather all clear time. Weather all clear times for the areas of the service territory that were impacted by this public safety power shutoff started to come into all clear status early this morning. The majority of the area was cleared for patrols and restoration somewhere between 3 in the morning and 5 or 6 in the morning. And at that time, we began our patrolling and our restoration process. You can see here on this slide 3,000 men and women out there doing everything they can to get you back in lights. We had 34 helicopters that were able to fly today. We had 16 helicopters that were grounded due to the incredible smoke that we saw in the atmosphere today. The 34 helicopters that did fly had to wait to get up into the air because of the impact of that smoke, kept it darker a little bit later into the morning. But nonetheless, we got them up and we made some progress today, and I want to tell you a little bit about that. So next slide shows our progress. Right now, as of the start of this briefing, 85% of the 172,000 customers that ultimately experienced an interruption have been restored. So that's about 147,000 that are back in lights. We still have roughly 25,000 customers that are still without service, and our crews are still working, and they will continue to work into the very late evening to restore as many customers as we can, because we understand how important that is. Let's go to our next slide. We mentioned this last night with the wind gusts that we experienced on the system, and you can see, the peak gusts that we saw between 60 and 70 miles an hour. You can see the different counties and where those peak gusts took place. Butte County had the highest wind speed measured by our equipment. That really necessitated, that coupled with the dry fuels, really necessitated the need to perform the shutoff activities. Once we started patrolling and restoring this morning and throughout the day, so far we have found 27 damage cases. This is important to emphasize. Each one of these 27 damage cases, and we expect this number to rise, by the way, as we continue our work and we analyze the data. Each one of those damage cases presents an opportunity for an arc flash event, a spark event. And when you have that happen and that falls to the ground in extremely dry, tinder dry conditions with the high winds, it could cause an ignition that could be very, very difficult to control. Those are really the fundamental guidelines of this program, why we do this and why we think about public safety through that lens. So 27 damages and hazards so far. Each one of these comes in from the crews. They take pictures of this. Here's some pictures that are some examples. Kind of difficult to get a full visual. The two on the one in the center and on the right are trees down. The one on the left was taken from one of our helicopters. May be difficult to see, but there's a branch that's lying on one of the wires, the wire on the left-hand side, very close to the pole. If that happens and we make contact with the conductors, there's potential sparks, potential arc flash events. And that's what could, to my earlier point, could start that ignition and start that wildfire that could be difficult to control. So we continue to receive these from our crews in the field. We look at every one of them, and we want to understand exactly where did that happen. Then we can understand geographically lat long points, feed that back into our meteorology department, and that helps inform what we actually saw with wind speeds from our weather stations in close proximity. It helps inform the program going better or going forward, so we can really understand, at what wind speeds do we see this type of debris into our conductors and into our lines. So that effort will continue. Let's go to our next slide. Of the 172,000 customers that were interrupted or had their lights shut off, many of them did not, but could have. We talked about this slide last night. We saved approximately 70,000 customers from an outage by mitigating the impacts. The whole program is really based about identifying those areas of risk, identifying the assets that traverse through those areas of risk, and then shutting that off before the severe weather occurs. when we do that, we have power outages to everybody, but there's ways to prevent that or to keep them on. And the map on the right-hand side shows just geographically some solutions. Most of this was carried by the Humboldt generating station. That generating station has the ability to be placed into island configuration. So the transmission lines that usually feed that area were taken out because they went through an unsafe area, but the generating station was able to sustain power to the local community up in Humboldt County. That was a large impact. In addition to that island, we also installed temporary generation around our system. So even though you couldn't receive service traditionally from the PG&E grid, you did receive service from a generator that we secured to be able to restore and keep energized those areas of our service territory that were safe, but were just fed from a line that traversed through dangerous country. And then also, as mentioned last night, once we identify that danger zone, we try to isolate and keep everyone on around that danger zone. That's what those 200 sectionalizing devices do. And they really came in handy in this event and really saved 70,000 additional customers from being interrupted from this event. Let's go to our next slide. At this time, I believe I'll turn it back to you, Lindsay.
Hey, Mark, I have a question. You mentioned we've got 25,000 customers still without power who we're trying to restore tonight. But then you also mentioned the incidence of damage, and then we have some aerial support that's been grounded because of the smoke. So my question is, for the folks who are still out tonight that we're working to restore, will the damage that we found and will the smoke that's hampering the air ops have any impact on when we can get them back?
Thank you, Lindsay. So there's a portion with the damage cases that we found. We have crews actually out there working right now making repairs. What's holding us back from being able to fully restore to the 98% level, which is the goal of the program within 12 daylight hours of the all clear, was really the ability to get helicopters up in the air and actually see where our conductors go and verify that they're safe. So the team's charging hard, attempting to get to all those remote areas on foot in some cases, in many cases. And we believe that there could be 4,000 customers that are not able to receive service by the end of the evening today, but they will they will in the morning tomorrow, probably most likely before noon would be the latest estimate. And we continue to look at that and pull that ETOR in. One thing that's of note is as areas clear up, we shift the crews and collapse and apply more resources to the areas of outage to pull that in even further. So that's our estimate at this time. Back to you, Lindsay.
Okay, thanks, Mark. And for those of you who may have joined our public briefing late, I want to recap what our incident commander just said. We received the all clear in most areas between 3 o'clock and 5 a.m. this morning. About 3,000 PG&E employees, 34 helicopters on the ground and in the air working to inspect, patrol, and make any repairs to get the power back on. Currently, about 85% of our customers have got the power back on. That's about 147,000 out of the 172,000 who were initially taken out of power. Currently, we've got about 25,000 customers still without power, but we hope to have most of those restored by the end of tonight. About 4,000 may not be restored until tomorrow morning, and that's due to damage that we found on the system that we have to repair, and then also our air operations being hampered by smoke. So, Mark, thank you for that update. We'll come back to you for our Q&A. In the meantime, I want to have Vanessa Bryan join us now and talk to us a little bit about our community resource centers, what's available there, how many customers have visited. Can you give us an update, Vanessa, on customer support tonight?
Yeah, thank you, Lindsay, and good evening. Thanks to everyone for joining, and especially to our customers who are still without power at this time. We want to thank you for your patience and for your understanding. We're taking a number of actions to help make this experience less difficult for you. So let me provide an overview on some of those actions. First, as Mark mentioned and Lindsay mentioned, we've restored 85% of our customers impacted by this event. And while we've been restoring, we've continued to keep our customers notified via calls, text messages, and emails today. Now, these notifications give updates on when customers can expect to have their power back, and we'll send a final notification confirming power has been restored. And these notifications are available in 13 languages. So next, on to our community resource centers, which you see on the slide there. Now, throughout the course of the event, we had opened 50 centers in 18 counties. And for safety reasons and in coordination with our local counties, we've had to close 6 of those due to smoke in the area or evacuation orders. We plan to keep community resource centers open until all our customers in the area are restored. However, there may be instances where CRCs have to close due to smoking conditions or evacuation orders. So the operating hours are 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. And as of 3 p.m. today, we've seen about 6,600 visitors come through our CRCs, and we've handed out over 6,300 grab-and-go bags. Now, those bags include water, information, and a small device charger. So customers can visit our website to find out exactly which CRCs are open and the locations by visiting pge.com/PSPS updates. And you can visit these centers to provide, a safe location to meet basic power needs, such as charging medical equipment, up-to-date information about the PSPS event, and again, water, snacks, and other essential items really to reduce the hardship on our customers. All of these centers continue to practice COVID-19 health considerations and follow state and county guidelines. So you will see folks wearing facial coverings, practicing physical distancing, limiting visitors at any single site and making sure that that physical distancing can be maintained, completing temperature checks, and then sanitizing any hard surfaces regularly. So we do ask that customers not visit a community resource center if they're sick with a fever, cough, sore throat, or runny nose. And that's really why it's important for customers to have a backup plan. Work with family, friends, or neighbors to safely assist you in your time of need in light of COVID-19. And the final piece that I'll mention in regards to customer plans and how they can find out about resources is 211 is a great service. You can dial 211 to learn about available resources in your county that are specific. And 211 has been stood up to support COVID-19 needs as well as PSPS events and wildfires. As for activity on our website, always a concern for folks, we've seen over 1.5 million visitors visit our site as of 2 p.m. today, and that's over the course of the event. The site is multilingual. We have translated content. The pages are translated into a total of 7 languages, and then we have additional content at pge.com/disability and aging in up to 13 languages. That's really preparation information and just general details about PSPS. Our call centers have supported over 6,500 calls throughout the duration of this event, and average wait time today was only 7 seconds. So we've continued to staff up our contact center, and we're available should you need to reach out or if you have any questions. We've also been actively supporting customers with medical needs, and these events are particularly challenging for these individuals. We had over 10,000 impacted customers that are part of our medical baseline program as part of this event. And so some of the support that we've been able to provide folks is through partnerships that we've established. We currently have 10 resource partnerships with community-based organizations, and they provide communications in customers' preferred language. They provide food replacement and address continuous power needs. So in this event specifically, we have our food banks have distributed food replacement to over 730 families over the past 2 days. Meals on Wheels has visited over 260 seniors, and that's both yesterday and today. They've provided them with an additional meal, completed a wellness check, and provided basic information about the closest CRC site. And then also also the California Foundation for Independent Living Centers. They continue to provide portable backup batteries and arrange hotel stays for customers who are reliant on power for medical or independent living needs. Of course, all of these resources are available on our website at pge.com/disability and aging, or you can visit the California Foundation for Independent Living Centers site, and that's at www.cfilc.org. As part of our partnership with food banks, customers who've experienced food loss can go to a food bank to replenish their food. So you'll see the list of food banks that are participating currently. I will tell you that we are actively working to expand this list, and we have a number of food banks that we're in negotiations with. So as additional events come forward, this is going to be a way to get food in the hands of those in need who have experienced food loss as a result of the PSPS event. Now, these food banks are available to visit. They will be providing food replacement to families over the course of the event and then 3 days following. So even after power is restored, you have a moment to go visit the food bank. They will still be providing that food replacement to our customers. Finally, I want to emphasize the importance of personal preparedness as we look at the remainder of wildfire season. Certainly, the last couple of weeks have showed us that preparation is really important. We know the wildfire season started earlier this year, and we anticipate that it could go even longer than typical. So everyone really needs to have an emergency plan and a go bag. Customers need to have a plan for staying safe, and so some things to do as we approach kind of the end of this event and start thinking about the next potential emergency that could come our way is thinking about building or restocking your emergency kit with flashlights, fresh batteries, first aid supplies, and cash, and keep facial coverings and hand sanitizer in your emergency kit. You should identify backup charging methods, have phones, computers, medical devices pre-charged when you get that first watch notification, and keep hard copies of emergency phone numbers should you need to reach someone. Plan for medications that may need refrigeration, and keep in mind that family members who are elderly, younger children, pets also need to be provided for. So plan for them in your emergency kit. The other piece that is really critical is making sure we have your appropriate contact information. You can call PG&E at 1-866-743-6589 or log on to our website and update your contact information with us. And that's, again, cell phone, text message, home phone, and email. And you can provide those details to us, and we will send you notifications in all of those channels. And you can learn more about how to prepare your emergency kit and some of the things I've talked about at our Safety Action Center, which is safetyactioncenter.pge.com. So I'd like to end by thanking you all for your patience and understanding during this PSPS event. It certainly is not an easy time, and is even, compounded by losing your power. So we will continue to work to make these events as easy as possible on our customers. And with that, I'd like to turn it back over to you, Lindsay.
Okay, thanks, Vanessa. Really great information. Really appreciate that. A couple of highlights just to reiterate. We will send out customer notifications when power has been restored. So if you happen to be staying with a family member or a friend or somewhere away from home, you'll have a notification when your power is back on. We have 44 community resource centers currently open. We did have to close 6 due to smoke or wildfire evacuations. Those centers will remain open during the duration of the event. Hours are 8 a.m. until 10 p.m. They are also following COVID safety precautions. And then another good resource for folks to find out what available resources are in your area is you can dial 211. So just wanted to pass that information back along. Vanessa, thank you for that. Now, for the reporters who have been waiting patiently to ask some questions of our experts, we thank you for sticking with us. Want to remind you, if you're a reporter waiting to ask a question, you need to dial *1 to be able to do that. We'll give you 2 questions off the top. We don't want to keep people for too much longer. We're going to start tonight with Bloomberg's Mark Chediak. So Mark, do you have a couple of questions, 2 questions for our experts, please?
Yeah, hi. Thanks, Lindsay. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, great. The first question I have is about the 4,000 customers who may not be restored tonight. Is there an estimate of when they expect to, when PG&E expects them to get power? And then I have another follow-up after that.
Sure. What's your follow-up, and then we'll direct them out.
Yeah, so there was great detail given by Mark on the work that the utility has done in terms of restoration and damage. I was wondering if the utility has found any evidence at all of its equipment sparking any of the fires that started during the most recent windstorm.
Okay, let me go to Mark for those. Mark, can you talk a little bit more specifically about when we expect the 4,000 customers who may not be restored by midnight tonight to be restored tomorrow? And then if you can answer Mark's other question about whether or not we've seen any evidence of our equipment starting fires during the recent windstorms. Mark, are you with us?
How about now, Lindsay? You hear me?
Yeah, I gotcha.
Great. Thank you very much. Mark, thanks for the questions. I'm going to start with the last one first. We have not found any evidence that our facilities were involved in any wildfire ignitions through this most recent windstorm. Pivoting back to the first question with respect to the 4,000 customers, that's our best estimate at this time. As mentioned, we're still out there and we're going to continue to work into the night and try to pull that in. For those who we can't pull in because we just can't get there because it might be in a remote area or repairs are still ongoing, our best estimate would be everyone restored by noon tomorrow. I think that would be safe to say at this time, and we continue to look at that. The data changes as crews free up and we send more crews out to other active outages. So that's what I have at this time, and thanks for the question.
Okay, thank you, Mark, and thank you, Mark Chediak. Let's go now to the San Francisco Chronicle and Lauren Hernandez. Lauren, are you on the line?
I am, thank you. My first question is, how will PG&E inspection crews navigate restoration efforts if smoky and hazy conditions continue this week? And my second question is, in what counties and cities are those roughly 4,000 customer accounts located that may not get their service restored by midnight tonight?
Okay, thanks, Lauren. Mark, we'll go back to you. So she's asking about location of the 4,000 customers we're working to restore, or we will be working to restore through the night and into tomorrow. And then any information you can give about the smoke, because we know so many wildfires are burning right now, how that's going to affect our current operations.
Yeah, thank you, Lindsay. Thank you, Lauren. The 4,000 customers that we estimate we may have a challenge with this evening are in the Humboldt area, Humboldt Division, Humboldt County, and in the Sierra foothills, Butte County, other counties surrounding Butte in the Central Sierra. That's the best estimate that we have at this time with respect to where they are. In terms of your other question with if there's more smoke or smoke throughout the week, how does that impact us? That noon ETOR, or estimated time of restoration, that I provided assumes that we have a full workforce that continues that restoration of the up to 4,000 customers on foot, via vehicle, no helicopter usage. We expect we'll be able to get back up in the air tomorrow, but just in case, we have plenty of resources to pull that in. We don't anticipate this going beyond tomorrow. The public safety power shutoff event should be closed to the 98% level this evening and then 100% tomorrow. And so we don't have any concerns about other smoke for purposes of inspections for the rest of the week, because all the inspections will be completed by tomorrow.
Okay, Mark, thank you very much. Appreciate it. And so with that, we are at the bottom of the hour. I would like to thank Mark Quinlan, our incident commander, Vanessa Bryan with our local customer experience team, and the media who joined our call tonight. Would urge you, for more information and for the latest updates, to go to pge.com/PSPS updates. And again, we thank you very much for joining us tonight. As always, please stay safe.
Hey, Tim from Gill. Another thing to maybe note, maybe let Fred know, is whenever the desk calls, their first transmission is always broken, but their second one, the follow-up, is clear. And then if there's any time between transmissions, it does it all over again. Okay.